Hello, everybody. Hey, it's Valerie. I know it's been a while since we've seen you, but we are back and we are so excited to be here. This is Brunch Bites with SOAR Again. And for those of you that have been watching, you know that we've provided some amazing topics, had amazing guests on that were able to give us information to better our lives, enhance our lives, and to show us how to enhance others. And so this one I'm really excited about. I don't know why I'm so excited about it. I mean, I'm kind of not even a part of it, but I am a part of it. But it's about a parenting circle and understanding foster care. And we realize, especially during this pandemic, a lot of parents have had some challenges. A lot of parents have had to be the parent, the teacher, the disciplinary, the recess worker, the beautician, the babysitter, the nanny. You've had to do it all. And so I've invited someone to come on and just give us some tips. We are not experts, but what we've seen work through them has been powerful. It has been impactful, and I am so grateful for their lives. And so before I bring them on, I just kind of want to talk again about SOAR Again. SOAR Again is a non-for-profit organization, and we started it 2 years. Oh, really? It'll be 3 years in December, and it simply means starting over, access restored. And what we vow to do is to bring enhancement to people's life through information, revelation, graduation, all of those shuns. We want to make sure that your life is enhanced and that you realize that everything can work together. I had somebody say this to me a few years ago, and it has kind of been my secret mantra that if it's not a blessing, then it's a lesson. And if it's a lesson, you can turn it into a blessing. And so we want to take their life experience, their shared knowledge, and hopefully you can pull nuggets from it. Now, I'm not telling you to become just like them, but what I'm saying is that sometimes when people share their story, it enlightens, it illuminates in your mind different things that you can do. And that's what we hope to do on today. Make sure you say hello in the chat. Make sure you tell us where you are watching from. We are excited that you took this time out on a Saturday afternoon just to take a listen, or if you're not watching it Saturday afternoon, you're watching it in replay, we thank you. We just want to tell you that SOAR is excited about all of the different things that we have here that we do. And we just kind of want to share just a few of those things before we bring on our guests. I'm so excited about my guests, y'all. I'm so excited. And so with SOAR Again, we told you that it's starting over, access restored. We offer empowerment sessions, mentorship, coaching, and you can join with us. You can either be a participant or you can be a sponsor. Either way, you can join in and be a part of this amazing organization. If you want more information, you can visit our website at www.SOARAGAIN.NFP, which stands for nonforprofit.com. And so I am ready to get started. I am so excited. And just before I bring on my guests live, I just want to share a little bit about some of the things that they're doing. We have Charisse Singleton Nobles, who is a life coach. She is a business owner. I mean, the girl got so many businesses, I probably can't even name them all for you. But her recent endeavor is she's a life coach, and she wrote a book, and the book is called The Adventures of Hammy During a Pandemic. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that and how that came about. And then I'm also excited to have my brother with me. Oh my God, I've seen this. It's so amazing when you see how God takes somebody and just makes them like, wow, God, you are doing magnificent things. And it's not that he wasn't always magnificent, but what God has done in his life. My brother Robert is amazing. Don't he look TV ready, y'all? Look at that. Look at that. He looked TV ready. And so we're going to celebrate having them on. He is, I mean, talk about businesses, talk about taking your life story and turning it into something that God can use, and not only God can use, but that it'll be a blessing to your family and everything. I mean, he's gone to school, maybe he don't want me to call him an educator, but an educator. He has become a business owner. He's become an influencer. That's the word. He's become an influencer. And so I'm excited to have them here with me. And if you'll stay with me, we won't take up all of your time, but I know I'm probably going to have to cut them off at some point and say, y'all, we got to go. We got to give these people their Saturdays back. But we are excited to have them. So I want you to welcome with me my first guest. She called me, and we call each other cousin. So I want you to welcome my cousin, Charisse. Hey, Charisse.
Hey, cousin.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am great. Welcome to SOAR Again Brunch Bites. We are so excited to have you here, and we can't wait to hear from you. So let me go to my next awesome and amazing guest. I want to introduce to everybody I call him my little brother. I hope he's okay with that. Robert Marshall Jr. Hey, Robert.
Hey, what's up, Val? Hey, I feel like I made it. I done made it on the show with Val. Lord,
right. Don't even try it. Do not even try
there
it.
is a God.
I feel like I need to ask for both of y'all autographs. I feel like I'm
fancy.
We may actually be annoying enough to be in the room. I'm just
That's fancy.
It is so funny because I'm very prayerful about who should be a partner. Last time I saw Robert, I was like, you don't have me on your stuff. He was like, and you don't have me on your stuff. I was like, well, hallelujah, amen. Get me together. And so I believe that for this set time, I think it is great that we can all come together. First of all, I'm glad y'all alive. I'm glad y'all made it through a pandemic and still making it. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And are
we churchy or we not churchy today?
We're going to be ourselves.
Okay. Because
we're going to be a little bit professional.
I almost ran when you said that.
You can run. They know we are a faith-based organization, and we do empowerment. So however we empower, that's how we empower. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned to Charisse before we started, I felt like God wanted me to just share in a different vein. And so this year we talked to people about real estate and understanding the market. We talked about the armed forces. And one of the things that I've seen, and sometimes I have to be very honest with y'all, I'm skeptical of different subjects because I feel like I don't really have a dog in this game, but I do. I have a connection to kids. I have a connection to a lot of parents. And so I was sharing with Charisse before we started, I have a lot of people who have children that struggled during the pandemic. And so I just kind of want to hear from you guys just a little bit. And I'll start with you first, Charisse, on what skills and what did you do to make sure you maintained your sanity during the pandemic and made sure that your baby was still able to be a child?
Woo, a lot of prayer. To maintain my sanity, I had to be at a place of peace on my own first, so that I could also have him at a place of peace. Because if I'm fragile and things like that, he's going to also be fragile. And he's only 3. So imagine a 3-year-old being abruptly taken from their situations, their surroundings, their friends. Even though I have a daycare in home, this is not his daycare. So he looking at me like, I know I'm not going downstairs. We got to be getting in the car and going to my school with my teachers, because you are not my teacher. And he's very verbal. So after a while, those first few days, he was like, okay, well, I could get it. I'm hanging out with mom, But oh no, we got into that second week. It's a and a no. I'm not going in that daycare. I don't no. So I had to have I had to dot all my I's and cross all my T's to be ready to even entertain him as well as work, because I did have some families that were essential workers. Yeah. So I had to carve out that time for him so I could let him know. And I had to talk him through the process, almost like an adult talking through the process of what's happening and what's going on, so that he can understand and kind of get into the groove of things with being at home with us. And plus, I have a big, I'm about to be 50, chasing a toddler. So I had to come in a whole different direction.
Well, Robin, you're a little bit younger, but you got younger babies. So how did y'all do it in the Marshall household?
Listen, I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old and the 3-year-old. And my wife and I both work full time. So it was very interesting. My oldest son was doing kindergarten at the time, and Val and Charisse, that boy cried literally every day because they're used to going to a private Christian school, smaller community, whatnot. And so he was at home e-learning. He hated e-learning. And I remember one day he woke up saying, I hate school. And for me being an educator, that's red flag. I'm like, brother, you still got college, you got high school, you got grad school, you in kindergarten, you can't come out the gate and start about I hate school. And so those are red flags for me. So, and even myself being an educator, it was very challenging to know that I educate other people, but I had a difficult time educating my own son. And so that was really challenging. He cried multiple days. I cried multiple days. So we had to get creative. And where that creative, during the pandemic, we started getting creative, and that's where my book was birthed out of, Little Brown Boy. Yeah. And so the book was birthed out of that space because we would go to the park, we would play, and we lived in a kind of diverse neighborhood, and my son started getting picked on by other kids. And so, my children, they're African American, Puerto Rican, and Mexican. So sometimes they're not Black enough to be with the Black kids, and they're not Latino enough to be with the Latino kids. So sometimes they're in the middle. And my oldest son, is a little pleasantly plump. So, he's fluffy. So children could be mean. Yeah. And so I wanted to, elbow some of the kids. But it made me look within and say, as a father, as an educator, what is the gift and what is the message I give him? It's bringing me to tears. I started writing Little Brown Boy, and I wrote Little Brown Boy. And during the pandemic, I saw my son when he got picked on, because I can't fight all his battles for him. Daddy can't go whoop other kids. I just can't. I could probably whoop their parents, but I can't whoop the kids. Yeah. But during those hard times, Val, you know what he did? The Little Brown Boy book, he would then take the Little Brown Boy book and recite it to himself. Whenever he would be bullied or whatever, he started having hard problems with e-learning. He would say, Little Brown Boy, you can do anything you put your mind to. He would then, there's a line in there that says, well, people may not always like you, but, that doesn't change who or what you are. Believe in yourself, Little Brown Boy, you will go far. And in my house, it became a mantra. Wow. And it almost became I don't want to replace it, their Bible, but it almost became their point of reference for how to deal with conflict, how to deal with internal conflict, how to deal with external conflict. And yeah, that's how we navigated. Little Brown Boy was how we navigated in my house.
And so now that Robert has talked about his book, Charisse, how was Hammy's book? How was that developed and came alive?
So it's kind of the same, The Adventures of Hammy during the pandemic. So when he was able to go back into the classroom for a few days, because they did open back up Monday through Thursday, I wanted people to see what the day actually looked like for Hammy as he's going into the classroom. And I wanted them to see it through the eyes of a little brown boy and his teachers and what we really go through in the mornings. So in the mornings, of course, we can't walk into the program. So you sign them in, and then someone else takes them to their classroom. They have their temperatures checked, and they wash their hands and things of that nature. They have to stay 6 feet apart. They have to keep their mask on. They have to take it off when they're eating and taking a nap. So I tried to do it in a colorful, creative way. It has a lot of rhyming words in it. So the children are able to learn rhyming words. They're able to learn colors and just able to learn how to keep your mask on, and you can still be a friend. And we keeping the germs away and things of that nature. So that's kind of how The Adventures of Hammy during the pandemic came about. And then we got a chance to read it to him, and that helped him want to go to school in the mornings and to get into the routine, because like I said, it threw everything off, because we couldn't walk him in class or do any of those things that we normally do. So now I have someone walking me to my class. My mom is not here. She can't volunteer. This is what the classroom look like. And all my friends that are sitting at this table have masks on as well.
You know what I love about you guys is because I know when we were growing up, we didn't experience anything to this magnitude, but I do not remember anybody that I grew up with writing stories about what we were facing. And after a while, y'all, you start to realize that you can't kiss a frog and he'll be a prince. You can't. You're not Rapunzel, and people just go climb up your hair and all of that kind of stuff. And so I love the fact that you guys are writing stuff that is really what they're dealing with. And so I just wonder, do you think that and these are hypotheticals, don't nobody text us or write us, how different do you think life would have been had somebody when we were growing up kind of wrote a story or a book that we could reference and that we could, like Robert said, internalize and make it our story? How different do you think it would have been for us?
To be honest, Val, one thing about the Black and brown community, there's always been artists. There's always been prophets. There's always been inspirational people doing inspirational things. If we look from everybody from Martin Luther King to Malcolm X to anybody else, we are the creatives. We've been those people. I think what we lacked was access. I think what we lacked was access and public platforms, and even I think it would have been monumental to change. It would have changed the trajectory of back in, there's some years between you and I, Val. So
watch your life.
And so it would have changed the trajectory of how we internalize what we thought about ourselves. But I always think the narrative in America has always been to suppress, oppress the productivity and the building of wealth of Black and brown people. It is just what it is. And so with that being said, I think they've always existed. They just didn't. I think what has changed now is that we have the opportunity through the internet to create our own platforms and to publicize our stuff. So for instance, with Little Brown Boy, I tried to get it submitted to a big publisher. You know what they told me, Val? They said I wasn't big enough.
Oh, wow.
They told me I wasn't big enough. So you know what I did? I self-published it myself.
Say it again.
I self-published it. They told me I wasn't big enough. And to this day, Little Brown Boy is in Walmart. It's in Target. It's in Amazon. It's in Books, Barnes and Noble. It's in Asian markets. It's in German markets. It's all over. And God is doing an amazing thing with this book that a gatekeeper who, a person that was talking to didn't look like me, didn't sound like me, doesn't know my story or my experience. It's the same thing with, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry always says that Hollywood locked him out. So instead of trying to get, sit at the table, create your own. I think, when we were growing up, to see this would have been different. It would have been monumental. And I think it would have changed the trajectory of a lot of lives. If we look, I'm an educator, Val, so I look at statistics all the time. When we look at the incarceration rate of Black males, when we look at the incarceration rates of Hispanic males, when we look at when we look at just different statistics when it comes to violence and crime, all of that is centered in the Black and brown communities. But I really believe that's all a part of a systemic structure that was created to keep Black and brown people subservient. And that's just been our history. I believe.
Come on.
I heard Phil in the organ in the back. I believe that we're in a Renaissance period. I believe that we're in a rebirthing period. I believe that we're in a space where people and creatives are coming forth, even with the church. I think the pandemic is giving us the opportunity to rethink and reimagine what church not it could be, but what was God's original intent for it in the beginning. The Bible says it's the traditions. I ain't get on here to preach, but the Bible says it's the traditions of men that make the gospel of non-effect. So what traditions, what doctrines have we been, what theology, not Bible, doctrine, theology, and doctrines that we've been holding on to, and traditions, and I'm all for it. But what are those things that we've been holding to that have locked creativity, that has locked out new imagining what church is supposed to look like, and what God's original intent was for it the whole time? I'll say this. The Bible says that we were all created in the image and the likeness of God. Each one of us from each culture carry a piece, a revelation, a DNA of the divine within us. God is a creative God. Everything that is, he created. So if he created us and he placed us to have dominion in the world, I believe that we have a responsibility and a mandate, and on the inside of us is the same creative power, the same creative force. Greater works shall you do. The same creative thing. God says, I'll give you the ability to create wealth, to create things, to create systems, to create structures. But what happens is when we don't, when doctrines, when theology, when gatekeepers, when our worldly systems lock that creativity out, what God was trying to make a movement, we then make it a monument. And those things sit there when it was supposed to be a movement. So I really believe God's like, yo, where's the creatives?
Where are the creatives?
Val, you remember back in the day when it was creative for a praise dancer to get up? Do you remember back in the day when it was creative for a mime to get up with the white face? Boy, let's not even talk about jeans and
you know what I'm saying? You know what I loved about that though, and then I'm gonna bring in Charisse because I got a question. What I loved about when it did introduce that, because them years you talked about between us, the differences. At one point, everybody was gonna sing in the choir, and everybody wasn't singers. And so even with parenting, and I know we're kind of entangling this into church, but even with parenting, I think it's very important to recognize the gift that is in your child and not force the one you want them to have. So Charisse, so people may not know yet that Charisse has 3-year-old Hammy, but Charisse is a mother, a grandmother, and all of those types of things. And so this is her, and she's helped raise everybody. So let me just say that. And she has a daycare center. Let me just say that. So Charisse, let me ask this. Why do you think it was such a boxed in? Where do you think people were afraid of creativity, afraid of the judgment of creativity if they allowed their children to do it differently?
Yes, I absolutely think people were afraid of what people may say, afraid of what people may think, all of those things. It was a combination, because I know in my household, my mom was Methodist, but she had a Pentecostal anointing. So I would be like, okay, we would go to church and she'll be on the altar speaking in tongue, and everybody and the other people at the church would try to put her out almost. They would be like, now, honey, now, and my mama was there, and she would get loud, and so I would be like, first, I was like, she's crazy, and I think these people are crazy too. So I have to find my own niche with what's going on, until I realized, okay, she's right here. Let's, come on, let's go. And she raised us in a home where if you feel like you want to go outside and sell shoestrings, you go outside and you be the best shoestring seller that there is. But then my dad, the flip side of the coin, don't you go out there and sell no shoestrings. You're going to make a fool out of yourself. Because he was thinking about what people said. He had his own man thing going on, if I will. So it put us in a situation like, okay, almost as who do we side with? Do we side with our mom, or do we side with our dad? Or is there a happy medium? Or am I just going to go out there and I'm going to do my own thing? So when my children came along, I allowed them to be children, And I also allowed them to be creative children. I teach. Of course, I would want them to teach, but that's not what they wanted to do. Aaron has a food truck. Lanye is a colorist. Destiny teaches, but she also prepares meals. So they all went in their own direction, and I freed them to do those types of things. And I would always tell them, come to me with a plan. Don't come to me when you don't have A, B, C, and D, and you just have A and X. No, if you have to have a solid plan, if you're going to present this idea to me, that's the only thing I asked of them to do is have a solid plan. Once they have that solid plan, you're free to do whatever you want to do. And I'm not the type of person that'll say, I told you so, because you didn't do it my way. We have to be careful of the words that we use with our children, because that starts early. We plant that seed early. I told you so. I told you not to do that. You should have listened to me. You shouldn't have did that. Then they're not going to know what to do. They're going to be like I was as a 5-year-old girl, like I said, looking at her on the altar and looking at everybody else in the church. Like, wait a minute. What, I don't know what to do here. So you tell them words like, you can do this. You are a success story. You can make it. You can do anything you put your mind to. You are great. You're wonderful. You're excellent. You got this. And your mama got your back. Your daddy got your back. Or your grandpa, whoever your village is. Because that's important too. You have to have the right village with you in order to raise your children. I'm not that parent that'll say, oh, don't whoop them. Oh, you see them cutting up? You better call me. And then you can call me, because I know you have my best interest at heart when it comes to reprimanding my children.
And it's so I'm great. You guys are just segueing the way I wanted to go. Thank you, Lord. And so when you talk about village, I have realized and I recognized growing up that my mom had a huge village, but there were some times where we were surrounded by strong spirit of negativity and strong spirit of crushing kids. Crushing them. And so I guess now that we're wiser and we're better, how do you decipher, and either one of you can answer this or you can go right after each other, how do you decipher who's around your children when they're with you? I know we can't control every moment because they're in school, they're wherever, but how do you decipher who gets to be intimate or who gets to be the voice in your child's life?
To be honest, Charisse will probably answer this, so I'll just chime in really quick. For me, it's all about a safe environment for my children. I look at the fruit of people's lives. I look at where they are. And, a mentor told me this one time when I was a young man. I'm still young, but I was younger. And he said to me, Robert, I don't allow people around my children who I can't walk out of a room and know that they'll be okay.
Yep.
Wow.
If I question, I don't care who you are, if I question any part of of your character, your personality, your language, your mannerisms, whatever, and as a parent, that's for me to decide. If you're not safe, then no. If I have to question you, your motives, your energy, your whatever, or your fruit, your surroundings to see where you are, what you're doing, then no, I don't allow you in my space. Okay. And I don't allow my children around
you. Yeah. I would have to agree. Yeah. I definitely agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because you're the steward that God entrusted them to.
Yeah, they're precious. And I'll say this, as a survivor of sexual trauma myself, and molestation, I'm very particular about who my children are around. I don't want to be a helicopter parent, but I'm not dumb, and neither am I stupid. And so I'm very aware of, when people say, "Oh, this is auntie," or "This is uncle such a," nah. And I will correct my children at that moment in that space, so that they will see that daddy did not approve this, and if daddy or mommy didn't approve it, then they know, nah, we're not going there.
That's good.
But also to piggyback, I wanted to jump on that question that you said, the question about diversity, or about how you raise, allowing your children's gifts to flourish. Listen, one thing that I love about my mother is that even though I grew up starch Pentecostal holiness, apostolic to the core.
To your core.
my mother exposed me to everything. I played football. I did musical theater. Most people don't. If y'all tell anybody, I will deny it. But I actually did professional musical theater growing up. So I did everything from theater. I did everything from sports. I did everything. I was preaching. So I did all of these things to try to find what was my niche. And though I still had to battle, and I still do sometimes battle with church culture and what's acceptable and what's not. I've learned. I was thankful for those opportunities, because everything she exposed me to, God uses it all. Nothing was wasted.
Nothing.
Listen, let me tell somebody that's watching right now. You may feel like you're in a dark place, but God is saying He does not waste any time. Nothing has been wasted. Your tears weren't wasted. Anyway.
Okay.
But,
I'm gonna mute you for a second while you calm down.
Listen, I'm kidding, but no, literally, God has used all of it. Now with Little Brown Boy, I have these characters that dance and sing, and I've written music about it. So all of it, God uses for His glory, whether it's church or whether it's not church. And I think I've heard artists like PJ Morton, and I've heard artists like other artists who have crossed over outside of the gospel world. And they're doing neo soul, they're doing R&B, they're doing love songs, and they are blessing people, and they are using their gifts, and they love God. I believe. Now, I might get some stones thrown at me for this one, but I don't believe that if you got a gift, that the only place you can use that gift is in the church. I just find that very difficult to believe. If you're an actor, I don't think you're just supposed to be doing gospel plays. I'm sorry. I just, I believe this world, the Bible says the kingdoms of this world will become the kingdoms of our God. And I don't believe the kingdoms of this world will become the kingdoms of our God until people who are part of the kingdom of God start infiltrating the kingdoms of this world. So there's some people that are singers, and you've been struggling, and you've been on that praise and worship team. You don't like it. You do it because you got it. Listen, go and sing some R&B.
Parenting. Don't push people to the R&B stuff.
Listen, I'm just. Hey,
I know. I get what you're saying.
I'm helping the parents too, because some parents really struggle. Like, my kid is X, Y, and Z, or they gifted, and it doesn't fit. And so I think it aligns with what we were talking about. It's about my job is to nurture the gift of God in those children.
That's right.
It's my job to nurture. It's not my job to control them.
Right.
So once I nurture, God does the rest.
Here's the thing. And so, Charisse, when he said nurture, that kicked me back to you with your, what nurturing qualities, even though your dad was staunch on don't do that, but what nurturing qualities could you pull from that in order to become this model for your children? Because I think that's exactly what parents are. They are a model for their children.
With him, he taught me. I got a lot of street sense, in lack of a better word, from my dad.
I get you. I feel you.
So I knew when somebody wasn't right, I'd be like, that's not right. Because I remember my daddy said so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so to look out for this and look out for that. So I use that to also help me be a better parent. That's so good. I could tell them, okay, I'm not staying out all night. This is the time you're going to come in. You need to be in this house because I am responsible for you. He even taught me before things were getting the way that they are now. He taught me different things that I see now. Like when the police pull you over, put your hands out the window. Yeah. Always put your hands out the window. Don't ever just stop, stop in a lit area, things of that nature. So I've learned and I've taken everything that he said and taught, even though he was against a lot of things, I was able to be a better parent because of it.
I love that you said that, because I think that sometimes we think that because we had parents because my dad was very hard, but he was a provider. And so if I focus totally on how harsh sometimes his tone was, I think we robbed them from saying they loved us the way they knew how.
Yes. And when you love from that place, it's altogether different. And then
Yeah.
when you get older, you learn to appreciate the love that they had from that place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes you stronger. It makes you better because you have that aha moment and you go, now I see what they were preventing me from. Now I see what they were shielding me from. My mom, I learned pay your bills. Keep your checkbook right, balance these numbers, before you buy anything, make sure you pay your rent, your light, and your gas.
That's so
Now,
good, because sometimes we don't teach that, and I cannot tell you how many times. Nothing against my parents. My parents came from rural Alabama, where they had one stoplight and it got knocked down, I think in the 60s, and they never built it back up. So they left there and they came to the bright lights of Chicago, of New York, of Michigan. And I think that the enemy would want us sometimes to devalue what they had to give. You know what I'm saying? And then, so when you talk about that village, I'm grateful because with my parents, they kept us surrounded with a village. And I realized as I got older, God, sometimes I could just slap myself because as I was younger, I thought they were the meanest, the strictest.
Yes.
I remember one time I asked my mama, could I spend the night somewhere? And she was like, so are you trying to tell me that the beds that me and your daddy bought for you are not good enough? I'm like, girl,
yeah.
Anybody got time for all of that? But I realize now it was a protective measure instead of her just saying, no, I don't want you in everybody's houses. Like, you got to play these games. And I appreciate it now. And I have repented so much. And I hope that people are on here can give grace to your parents for the things that they did knowingly and unknowingly. They did the best that they knew how to do.
Yeah, I think if I've spoken as a survivor of sexual trauma as a male who was in church, this has been a journey because I never thought, number one, that I would be in a space where I'm empowering men, and I never balanced and forgiving my father as well, but also my relationship with my mom. When most people hear about, how did this happen to you, or what happened to you, where was your mother, or where were, they were doing it at the best that they could at that time. A lot of our parents had to work multiple jobs to make it. They had to survive, and make sure that we were well. And I think part of healing for me and a lot of people that I talk to is realizing that people sometimes can't love you past their own pain. Ooh. They can't love you past their own stuff. I had a conversation with my stepfather the other day, and it was very candid. And I told him, I said, you were the worst father that anybody could ask for. We went there. We went there. Okay. And some of y'all who are listening, come on, y'all, come on.
No, I hear you.
We went there, and he said to me, son, I never knew you felt like that towards me. Wow. And he said, you know what? I'm sorry. And he said, I don't know any other way. And it gave me a glimpse to, yes, repent, but at the same time, understand that they had trauma too.
Yeah.
They had stuff that they were working to as well.
And unfortunately, they couldn't speak to their trauma as freely as we could.
No, not at all.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't appropriate. And a lot of times, and I realize this, Val, and Charisse, you may think about, you may agree or disagree, but I realize even with how I parented my kids, and I will throw this out there, that a lot of how we parent as Black and brown people today are still remnants of a survival mentality that came from slavery. And what I mean by that is, the quick, hey, sit down, be quiet, no questions, just very like, this is what I say, there's no questions, do what I do. And there's a time and space for that. But as I did my research, I realized if you have a mom who's in slavery and she has a son or daughter that she's trying to keep and protect from being raped or from being sold, they don't have time for questions. They don't have time for whatever. They got to teach them, and they got to teach them fast in order for them to survive. And I believe a lot of the way that Black and brown people, we parent our children stems from out of a place of fear and not love. And it's not that we don't love them, but fear overrides our love. And so when that fear is pushing, then that's when we start getting into abusive behaviors, and we start, when we do more. And I'm all for tapping butts too. I'm all for it. But at the same time, I had to question myself. Now I said, is the way I'm talking to my children, the way I'm interacting with them, it's fruit from what I've experienced and how I was parented, and why am I like this? And I realized it was because it was out of fear. It was out of fear. So what happens when the paradigm from parenting moves from out of fear and moves more into love and insight and information? Because the truth is, even though we have to protect our children for sure, right? We're not on a plantation. And the way that we parent our children now can change, can evolve. The thing is, we have to learn how to communicate with our children. We have to learn how to talk to them when they ask why, realizing that there's no stupid question, even though it might irritate the bejesus out of us. Right. Answering those questions, because those minds are inquisitive, and they're shaping and not shutting them down.
Right.
And giving them the space to expand and grow. And I've learned that when I talk to my children, as far as the first line of discipline, when I have a conversation to say, hey, you did this, and this made me feel like this when you did this, and this is why that this discipline, because, and they can understand. Versus, we're not in we don't always have to parent our kids through a survival lens and
tactic. Yeah. So let me get Charisse in here. With Charisse, would you have that? And we'll get into Hammy right after you say this. How different do you see your parenting with him than you may with Lanye and Aaron and Destiny?
Woo! Hammy gets away with everything. I'm too old and rusty, but parenting Lanye, Aaron, and Destiny were always mild-mannered children. I can count on both of my hands the times that I had to whoop all three of them. They were always respectful, thank God. They were always pleasant children. So a lot of things that I thought I would have to do growing up, I was kind of growing up with Lanye because I was 18 when I had her. Mm-hmm. So we were kind of like growing up together. So by the time Destiny and Aaron came along, okay, I'm like, I got this. My mom is still alive. Let me back up. I was adopted when I was young, at birth, a young kid. Mm-hmm. So the woman that I call my mom, that's my mother. She's 83 years old. So she had her old school ways, and she was in the home with me to help me parent them as well until I got married.
That's good.
So a lot of things that she would do, it sounded right to me. So I would go for it. And I would, just do it. I remember coming up, I wanted Guess jeans was like the end thing. But my mom sold, and she was like, no, you're going to get these Barbara Jean jeans. So he made me some Barbara Jean jeans, okay? And I had to wear these Barbara Jean jeans. I was a freshman in high school. Everybody wearing Guess and Levi and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, she is making me wear these Barbara Jean jeans. But I appreciated those Barbara Jean jeans. At the time I didn't, but I was like, oh God. But as I got older, I was like, you know what? You really didn't need that, because I found myself, because I didn't have my bio mom, because you still long for that, and because I knew who she was, I found myself overcompensating for my children. Because I was like, oh, they not wearing no Barbara Jean jeans, they go have whatever is out, they go have the latest fashion, they go have Nike this, they go have Adidas that, or whatever was out in that era, they were going to have. I got to do better. I have to parent a little bit better in this area, because now I'm broke, but my kids are sharp. I don't have no life insurance, but these kids are sharp. I don't have no college fund, nothing, but these kids are sharp.
They sharp.
So yes, parenting them, we had our little teenage moments, but nothing to really that raised the concern or that was really horrible. I was a lot more stricter on Lanye and Aaron than I was Destiny. And I had to parent Aaron different because he was a male. So I thank God for my brother and my husband at the time, because they did, show him how to be a man. A woman, I can't show you how to be a man, and you have to be careful of who you place your children with. You can't just place your baby with anybody saying, help me.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful, because they also take on them same characteristics, them same spirits, those same demons.
Yeah.
All of that transfers to your child, and you've allowed that and entertained it into your home. So you have to be careful with that. Now, with Hammy doesn't have an ounce of my gene. So for one, I have to parent him different. Hammy runs my house right now, currently. He runs this house. And I tell anybody that. He is a whole vibe all on his own. And although they tell you foster parenting,
so before you let's not drop them in the cold water too quick. So let me express this, Robert. So Charisse, the reason why it's the parenting circle and the foster care is because Charisse is a foster parent, and I think from what I see is doing an amazing job. And so Hammy is, even though you just see images of him, you could tell that this baby has an opportunity to be a child in a carefree environment because he's with you. And so I want to ask you, before you go there, what impressed on your heart to do it? What are some of the myths that we need to dispel? And how do we get people to look at it seriously to help children that may need homes?
Well, I was adopted when I was younger. So I always said, as a younger person, when I'm financially ready, I was going to adopt a child or foster children. My ultimate goal was to open a house where it'll be like transitional living for foster children, and that they could come in and out. I watch them grow and things like that. Then you're ready. If it's reunification with your parent, that's fine. But if I have to adopt, that's fine as well. I just want you to be successful, and whatever I can do to impart into you, I just want it to be great. I just want you to be great. So with fostering, it's a lot of myths, because the first thing is people think you do it for the money. It's not about the money, because this money can't take you across the street. Let me go ahead and put that out there. Back in the day, maybe, but now you have to be employed to be a foster parent. You don't have to be a 2-parent home, but you have to be an employed home. And you have to show that you're making enough money to even entertain this child being in your home. So the myth of I'm getting a whole lot of money, or foster parents get a whole lot of money, to be perfectly honest with you, I get $407 to parent Hammy.
That's groceries in my house.
And that's a month.
That's a month. That is the whole month in my house. Listen, that's 2 weeks.
That's not a week. That's not every 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's just for that month. They don't give you a lot of vouchers and things like that, but it's the love for me.
Yeah.
It's looking at that child and saying, oh man, I am making a difference. So I encourage anybody to have the patience, to have the time, because children need this. We have so many children that are just in the system looking for someone to love them. Do some of them have different disabilities and things like that? Yes, they do. If you look at it technically, all of us have something going on. Something. Now, let's just be honest here. So, the love and the passion is what drives me. Knowing that you're able to make a difference in a child's life, that should be your drive right there. Do you get frustrated with court because you have to go to court a lot and things like that? Yes. But when you go to court, you still going home with your child. If reunification is the goal, you're preparing that child, you're providing a loving home for that child at the moment while that parent is trying to finish their services and get their life together so that they can be reunified with their child. And if reunification is not the case and you're doing foster to adopt, that's a blessing as well, because now you have someone that you've added to your home and added to your family. That's the way that I look at it, because we're still going back and forth to court, you know.
Right.
But each day I wake up and I say, boy, Hammy, I love you. And just him saying, I love you, Mom. Oh, your hair is beautiful. I be looking a mess. Oh, your hair is so beautiful. Oh, you know, he make you feel like you could just run the world, you know. Having those big eyes looking up to you and knowing that you're responsible, or that you had a hand in raising this child, whatever the situation may be, whether it's return home, whether it's adoption, you were able to put your thumbprint on this child and watch this seed grow.
Wow, that's the way beautiful. And I love it. So I'm getting ready. We're getting ready to come to an end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give each of you 2 minutes alone to encourage parents, to talk about your business, to inspire. We're going to watch the clock. In 2 minutes, I'm going to come back on smiling. Then I'm going to switch you out and I'm going to put the other one in. And we're going to close. This has been amazing. I wish we could hold people's attention for 2 hours, but I know they want. We got to leave them with wanting more. So, Charisse, I'm gonna have you go first. I want you to go as you feel led. We're gonna give you 2 minutes to share whatever you want to share about parenting and about however you want to do it. It can keep a continuation of what you were already saying. But here you go. You're on.
Okay. I am Charisse Singleton Nobles. I am a certified life coach. I run and operate 365nobles.com. I am the author of The Adventures of Hammy during the pandemic, and I also have a licensed daycare home. But nonetheless, children, they are a gift from God. And that when you look at children being a gift from God, then you won't have any complaints, any worries, any reservations. Just continue to allow God to navigate you through parenting and navigate you through life. Everything should work out. I'm not saying that you won't have a niche or a bump in the road. They do happen. They do come, but you learn from those areas and you keep moving. You stay positive, even with everything that's going on. Find you a positive space, find you words of affirmation, even if you have to hang them up around your home, words of affirmation, speak them over your children. I love being a foster mom. I love being a bio mom, and I love being a grandma. So whenever I get to see them, when you see your children, hug them, love them, tell them they're great, tell them that they will be a success. Put your thumbprint on them, water that seed, and watch that seed grow. Those are the things that have helped us continue to have your village. Love on your village. Appreciate your village. I tell anyone that anytime someone volunteers to be a part and you allow them to be in your space to help with your children, appreciate your village. Tell your village that you love them. Buy gifts for your village and continue to grow. Continue to water the seed that God allowed you to have, that God blessed you with. And keep going. Keep God first. Always pray. Pray without ceasing. And that will guide you. Allow that to be your guide. Keep negative energy away from you. Keep negative energy away from your children and out of your home. And you shall be great.
Thank you so much. I want to jump over to Robert.
Absolutely.
Yes, listen, I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm keeping negative people out of my space. But hold on a second. I'm going to add Robert, and we're going to let him take us to another realm of information. Go ahead, Robert.
Hi, everybody. My name is Robert Marshall, and I help people win within. It's not just enough to win outside of the world. And there's a proverb that says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but yet still lose his soul? What does it mean to gain all these things and still be broken within? And so you can visit my website, www.roberthmarshall.com, to look at resources that I have that help people win within. I want to say to every parent that's out there, love your child unconditionally. Give them the love that you wish that you had. Love them through their faults, love them through their trials, love them through their pains, and always be present with them. What the best gift that you can give your child is the gift of presence. Being ready, being available. Sometimes you got to shut off the TV. You got to put down that cell phone and be fully present with them. Listen. We have 2 ears. Listen as much as you talk. And when they ask for your opinion, when they ask for your presence, make yourself available. Listen, your presence is the best present that you can give them. I'm Robert Marshall, and thank you so much. Check me out online.
Well, thank you all so much. I am so grateful to know you both. I am so inspired by the work that you do. I am blessed to see the fruit of your hands, the fruit of your labor. And I know that because you have shared today, I don't have to pray that God's going to bless you and reward you. His word already said that he would. And so I am just amazed. I'm not amazed. I'm just awed. I'm awed. Stop yourself. I'm just awed at how he crafts us and brings us all together for moments such as this. So I want to encourage parents. I want to encourage the village. I want to encourage the village, especially if you are a villager like me. You may not have your own children, but honey, that auntie status is strong. That godparent status has got to be an imprint on that child's life. And I think it was Robert that said it, like, make sure your energy doesn't fight against the energy of the parent or the will of the parent that God has given them. They should not be able to do anything in your house that they can't do in their own house. They should not be able to drink in your house what they can't drink in their own house. They should not have company in your house that they can't have in their own house, because it is counterproductive. And we're supposed to be a team. Nowhere in the world, even though Kobe and Shaq got into it in the latter years, but no way in the world was Shaq going to give Reggie Miller the ball to shoot, because they were all on the same team. And we can no longer give the ball to the enemy, give an open door to the enemy. That's all he needs. He doesn't need to have a big crack. He just needs enough to get in just a little bit. And so we want to shut every door. We want to call forth authors to make sure that our kids have a representation of themselves in literacy. And we want to make sure that we inspire them, but also let them know that correction is love. It is love, but anything can be perverse. So even correction that is love can be perverse. So we want to encourage you. I know this has probably been listen, I didn't have children, and it was a rough time being in the house by myself. And with my sister, it was a rough time. I get it, but make sure you reach out for help. It virtually, if that's how we got to do it. If we got to drive by and hunk at each other just for 5 minutes, if we got to bring the kids and let them just run in a big old circle, then make sure you don't lose your sanity when you've got a team, you've got a village, and most importantly, you got a God that cares about you. And so again, we make sure we support both Robert and Charisse. Go to Amazon for Charisse's book. Robert, is yours on? I know your deep books are on Amazon, but it's Little Brown Boy. I know you said it's in Walmart.
It's in Target. It's in Walmart. But you can go to roberthmarshall.com and you can grab all of my resources. As a matter of fact, since I'm on Val's show, since I'm on SOAR, I'm giving away a free book today. If you go down, if you go to my website, roberthmarshall.com, you go to the tab that says resources or merch or something like that.
Yeah.
You can then, because I'm on here today, I'm giving away a free book today called Just Believe.
Okay.
And Just Believe is a book that helps people process through hard things and ask, why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? Wow. So listen, go grab that book at roberthmarshall.com, free right now.
All right. Well, God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining us again. If you would like the work that we do here at SOAR, this is just a small part of it, but I think it's major. in that we're speaking on a platform that most people are not. Sometimes we got to talk through these things and allow people to understand that they're not the only ones and that there is help. There's a remnant of help. And so God bless you, Robert. God bless you, Charisse. Thank you all for joining us on this Saturday. We will be back next month. And next month, y'all pray for me. We're gonna talk about the virus and the vaccination. y'all pray for a sister. The saints. Yeah, just pray for me here. But we're going to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We have to dispel myths so that people can make a wise decision, so that people can make a wise choice and get rid of all of these conspiracy theories and the fear factor that we try and cover up in spirituality. And so that's what we're going to be talking about next month. Later on the top of September, the poets will be at with Poetry in the Park. We are doing different things so that we can bring awareness and impact lives and prepare people for different areas and different things. So this is Valerie. I'm glad that you guys joined us. Leave us a comment. Let us know you enjoyed it. Tell somebody, share it. And if you want to be a blessing, or if you want to sow and partner with SOAR, you can go to our website and you can make a donation, sponsor a child. We're getting ready to launch a program real soon that you guys are going to see, and your contributions are tax deductible and we appreciate it. So I am saying thank you again to my guests. We're going to support you. Charisse, God bless you. Thank you. Tell your teachers I said thank you for allowing you to spend this hour with me. Tell Hammy thank you for giving me his mommy for an hour. Robert, thank you. I love Jackie and the kids. They are just fluffy love. I just love fluffy love.
Today was their first day of school, and they just all got back, and so I've been like, back up.
Well, let me get off here so you can give them their love. So we love you all. I pray you get something out of this. And until next time, everybody have a good one. Bye-bye.